Hello everyone, today we start the topic of my political views, but as I promised, I have to give you guys a pre-log because the truth of the matter is, like I said in my previous videos, that my political views are not political at all. They're actually based on social reasons and a lot of different topics that I've researched over literally 2 years when I was about 25, 26 years old. That my political views basically arose from that. Before that I had no interest in politics because I just didn't see how it affected me. Anyway, I had left you guys with a quotation which was, it doesn't matter what wing you get on, the flight path never changes. And this is something that I came across when I began doing my research, and it actually came from a painting. And the painting was Capitol Hill, Washington, D.C. It had a gigantic bald eagle perched on top of it, and it had one wing painted red and one wing painted blue. And that's the caption they had at the bottom. And at the time when I actually came across that painting, it didn't make that much sense. Now, as I continued in my research, it started making a lot of sense. What that means is this: Republican, Democrat, or Independent, it doesn't matter what party you choose, because the goal of both and all parties is exactly the same. The only thing that changes is that whoever had more pull at that time, more than 50% of the population was supporting that group. So they're going to be the ones at the helm. They have a couple of additional agendas in there, but at the end of the day, they all have, the main goal is very clear as to what needs to be done. And I'm going to get into that goal here in a little bit, but the other quotation that I left, or the other note that I left, was regarding the red pill and the matrix. And that's something that I want you guys to keep just in the back of your mind, because as we go through this series of videos, I think you guys will get a lot of understanding behind the hidden meanings inside that movie. Now, as we get into this series of videos, I'm going to basically tell you what my choice is going to be as far as a political choice at the very end, because I really do think that as we go through this, you guys will guess who it is anyway. Now, for me to give you guys my political views, I have to just go into a lot of different topics. And before I do that, I wanted to give you guys the pre-log, or the preface, of exactly how my political views were developed. So for me, it began at the age of about 25 or 26. I got to a point where I just had this heavy feeling in my gut, like I just didn't have all the information that I needed in everything that I've read or have been told. So I developed this passion and just this appetite for knowledge out of nowhere. It would literally keep me up at night. So I literally would get up in the morning, I would get up in front of my computer and just research for 10, 12, 13 hours. I'm not even exaggerating. I would just research and read all day, go to bed, and do the exact same thing the next day until I was satisfied with the knowledge that I had gained. Now, the reason why I started my research was I started questioning one very simple thing, which was religion. And the reason I started questioning it is, in my family, religion is a very big thing. My mom's a devout Christian, so is my grandmother, so was my father when he was alive, and so are other members of my family. So my family was very normal for you to go to church every single Sunday and do Bible studies and everything else. I went to a Christian school, etc. But it really bothered me that people just knew in our religion. Again, guys, before I go into the religion thing, I'm not trying to promote any religion. I'm not trying to bash anybody's religion. I'm just talking about myself and my personal experience, so please don't take it as I'm trying to convert anybody. But for me, it was the situation that you're trying to put something very difficult to understand, if not impossible to understand, in this box, and then you're going to tell me what I have to do, don't have to do, how I should do things based on your understanding of this greater power. And that to me was ridiculous. So I started just questioning things. Another thing that bothered me was the salvation situation. In Christianity, you believe in Trinity. Holy Spirit, you believe in the Creator or God, and you believe in in Jesus Christ, which is His Son. You also believe that Jesus Christ died for your sins so you can have salvation. And I had a really big issue with that. And I'll make it very simple. I own an iPhone. So Apple made this phone. They're the creators of this phone. If something were to happen to that phone where it breaks down or something happens to it, malfunctions, I can always call the manufacturer and get it replaced. They have some kind of a guarantee in there. I don't have to call Panasonic for them to tell me, hey, I have an issue with my phone, can you help me out? So that's basically the premise of my issue with the salvation situation, because I said, if I buy something from Apple, I expect it to come with a warranty, just like if I buy anything from any other manufacturer. So the same thing happened with the religious beliefs that Christians have. If we were created by God, technically we should already come with a guarantee, but we didn't have that guarantee of salvation. Instead, somebody, in this case Jesus Christ, had to come and die for us to have that guarantee, i.e. salvation. which led me to believe that maybe there's a possibility that we weren't created by the Creator. Now, in researching that, it took me into something called the Sumerian tablets. Now, the Sumerians are the oldest civilization that we have knowledge of. I believe they're around back in 6000 BC. And the Sumerian tablets were actually Sanskrits and found in Mesopotamia. So a lot of this language that's in there is hieroglyphics. And a gentleman by the name of Zechariah Stitchin, which is a PhD, was able to translate them. So if you go and research them, I think it's about 20 chapters, and they all have, they're pretty lengthy. It'll probably take you a good 3 days to read them if you dedicate 12 hours a day. But if you read the Sumerian tablets, it gives you a really eye-opening, because if you're familiar with the Bible and you read the Sumerian tablets, a lot of the things that are in the Bible are in the Sumerian tablets. The difference is, Bible was written 2000 BC, Sumerian tablets were written 6000 BC. So you start kind of reinforcing your beliefs, and a lot of the things that was coming up in my head start making a lot more sense when I read it. Another thing that's very intriguing about them is that in the findings, when they actually discovered the Sumerian civilization, they had a lot of drawings, designs that they would chisel on the walls and everything else. You guys should research this. It's absolutely intriguing to me, at least. The funny thing was that they actually had mapped out our solar system back in 6000 BC, which we did not too long ago. But they had it mapped out in 6000 BC. The only difference was that they counted the planets from the outside in. Mercury wasn't planet number 1, Pluto was. Mercury was the last planet within our solar system. They also had an additional planet which we don't have a record of still, which has an orbit that takes 36,000 years to do one cycle of its orbit. And this is where Nibiru comes into play. So and then that led me into the Mayan calendar, which then you come across Nibiru quite a bit. You come across the 2012 thing quite a bit. That led me into, obviously, astrology and astronomy, which basically started showing me how the Bible is more of an astrological astronomy book than anything else, in talking about the sun, the Orion's belt, the three kings, the horizon, the rising of Jesus Christ. After it was entombed for a couple of days, all these different things started coming up. The other thing that I came across was that the Jesus Christ mantra, the Jesus Christ story, is across a lot of religions over multiple centuries. They just get called different things. It's in the Egyptian culture, it's in the Roman culture, it's in our culture nowadays. It's just in so many civilizations that it was just baffling to me that this story has been around for so long, and it just was a different turn on it. It was a different take. So that's kind of where everything began. So it led me into astrology. From astrology, it started leading me into the banking system. Some way, shape, or form, it led me into it. And I started learning about the Rothschilds. I started learning about how the dollar really came about. I started learning about something called the Bank of International Settlements, which is actually the owner of all of the central banks worldwide. I started learning about how the currency originated, how it went from gold into what we have today. It also led me into our food supply, who controls it, what's in it, what the goal of it is. It also led me to something called the Georgia Tablets. And the Georgia Tablets, I forget where they're located, we can look this up. The Georgia Tablets actually are public. You actually go and visit them. They actually stipulate that the proper population of the world is supposed to be 500 million people. That's 500 million. We have just over 6 billion. So that means that, was that about 80% plus of the population would have to be eradicated? So how do you do that? Well, food supply is a great way of doing it. It also led me into the medical industry as far as healthcare is concerned and everything else. And this is something that I had a really good experience with back when I used to trade stocks with a company called Celera Genomics, CRA is their ticker symbol. In MSNBC, you were able to send in questions into the host, and sometimes they would get picked to be asked to whoever was their guest at that time, which in this case was the CEO of Celera Genomics. And what they had done as a company is that they had actually mapped out the human genome. So what that means is that companies, pharmaceuticals, can actually tap into the research of this company and make cures for everything out there. AIDS, cancer, you name it, it can be cured if you map out the human genome. Cures for everything out there. AIDS, cancer, you name it, it can be cured if you map out the human genome. Now, I sent the question into MSNBC because the CEO was actually on the show. And my question was, why would pharmaceutical companies pay $15 million a year membership to actually go into your research to create cures for diseases when it's way more profitable to the bottom line to treat the disease and actually cure it? And like every good politician and obviously good corporate person, when you ask them a difficult question, they kind of dance around it, never answer my question, and I just couldn't do a follow-up on him. But I went into even the health area and the food area, and you come across that kind of scenario. For example, health is there to make money, the bottom line. These are publicly traded companies. They actually train the doctors to service you. So if you go talk to a doctor, what do they pitch you? Pharmaceutical stuff. Now, who trains the doctors? Well, the pharmaceutical companies actually go into their practice, actually pitch them product. And who actually funds the education within universities for them to get educated? Do some research, you find out that pharmaceutical companies do. So everything is done for the benefit of corporate America, or for at least the corporations within America. Now, I'm getting a little off tangent because the political views has to do with everything I just covered. The politics isn't a tangible topic. Politics is a derivative of a lot of topics that you say, okay, I have all this knowledge, here's what my beliefs are, and here's the representative that better represents those beliefs. And unfortunately, when we talk about politics, we have two choices to choose from, which is the Democrats and Republicans. And I always ask people, do you really think you have choice? And the answer is no, you have absolutely zero choice. And the reason is this. We get given candidates. We don't choose candidates. We don't know where they come from. We just said, here's the guys that you guys get to choose from. It's almost like me telling you, okay, you're hungry. Well, here's what you have the choice to eat. You have 1, 2, or 3. Which one do you like? What if you don't like any of them? What if you say, well, I don't want to eat any of that. I want to eat that. Well, sorry, these are your choices. So even in politics, we have zero choice to choose from. We get led to believe that we have a choice by being given a myriad of individuals. I say myriad, but it's more like 8, 9 individuals. They get kind of, dwindled down, beat up, mudslinging, whatever, and so on start falling out, and then you get condensed to your 3 candidates, the one that actually remained. But at the end of the day, as the painting that I discussed in the very beginning implies, it doesn't matter who you choose. It really doesn't matter who you choose because they all have an agenda. It's politics. They just want to tell you the stuff that you want to hear so they can sway more than 50% of the population to vote for them so that they can be in power. Now, there's one individual that since 1980 has not changed his views, and you guys know who that is, and you can pretty much guess from my previous videos and this video who my choice is. It's no hidden secret. I'm voting for Ron Paul. And the reason is very, very simple, and it's very condensed. Because my choice is strictly economic and financial, only because those are the topics that affect everybody. The other stuff that's social, abortion, if you're pro-abortion, you're anti-abortion, the institution of marriage, whether you're homosexual, you're heterosexual, it doesn't affect everybody. And honestly, let people live. If you have a choice to be pro-life or against life, so be it. Does that affect you? Probably not. So stop meddling in people's lives. If you're heterosexual or homosexual, you know what? That's your personal choice. If you're happy with it, you know what? Have a ball. I don't care. Go do you. Be happy with yourself. If that's what you choose, then go do that. So those things don't affect me. It's just that people just want to put their nose in everybody's business. Stop doing that and really focus on the stuff that affects you. For example, things that affect every single person regardless. Inflation affects all of you. Unemployment affects all of you. Rising costs of anything affects all of you, whether it's gas, healthcare, education, etc. The housing bubble bursting and your house decreasing in value, that affects everybody that's a homeowner. So those are the things that really affect everybody on a grandiose level. The other topics are just BS topics. So that's why I focus my beliefs and my political choices on the economics and finance of things on top of everything that I've learned.